The Gothic 1 remake is coming in 2026, and I can't contain my excitement. Everywhere I look, everyone just can't stop talking about it. This is anticipated, I'm sure. Everyone is checking all of the dev diaries, all the updates for the little clues, the tidbits. How is this going to be? Come on, who is pumped? Anybody? Anybody out there? I don't think so. I don't think anyone's talking about this. I don't think anyone cares. I don't think anyone asked for this at all. No one asked for a Gothic 1 remake, and the reason's pretty simple. It's just the chances of a modern video game developer getting this right are about a zero. There was never any chance. And with this particular remake, it's even worse than that, because the developer actually put out a demo for their Gothic remake a few years ago. It was abysmal. It didn't play anything like the original. It seemed they looked at what made Gothic special and actually thought, oh, all of that is outdated. People want something more modern, more of like a Witcher sort of gameplay Gothic. That's what people want. Yeah, Witcher 3 is the standard for all RPGs. It's got to be something more like that, or any other modern RPG. So we'll remove the Gothicness from the game and do something else. Predictably, everyone said it was crap and they had to go back to the drawing board, but it's still the same people who stuffed that up who are making this remake. And they basically said, oh, we're listening now, we're going to do what you say, and we're going to listen to feedback, so I'm sure it's going to be good now, guys. That's it, and it releases in a couple of months. And if you couldn't tell, I personally don't care so much about this for the same reasons. The original's a good game. There's no way a developer's going to do this justice, do it right. There's no reason to play it. I'll happily play the original, as well as many of the fan mods that have come out since. Fantastic fan mods of the first and second game. There's some really, really good ones that resemble full-fledged sequels. Not like Gothic 3, proper sequels that fit the tone of the original. There's great stuff out there. So I don't really need this remake. And this remake, which has been green-lit by Embracer Group, who own the Gothic IP, Embracer Group, who bought every studio in existence, and then they tried to do some scam deal with Saudi oil people. They were going to get a bunch of money, keep it all going, and then the wheels came off. The deal fell through. The company sort of collapsed, cancelled most of their projects. They cancelled a Time Splitters remake. They closed down the studio behind the original Gothic games, who were making Elix, which you might have heard of. They closed a whole bunch of studios, but they've kept a few projects going. They've kept the big ones that you were really anticipating, like the Deus Ex remaster, which it's like AI slop. It's just the game ran through like a cheap AI filter in half an hour. One man probably could have done that. And that's what you're going to get. And you're going to pay $40 for it. Don't look at the screenshots if you haven't already. You'll cry. It's a disgrace to the original game. They've done that, and they've kept the Gothic remake alive. So it seems like just the cheap projects, low effort, don't really require any creativity because you're just building on an existing classic game. That's what they're keeping going, pretty much, Embracer. It's this sort of crap. So no one's expecting much. But if you had no expectations, you're still going to be disappointed, because now some screenshots have started to come out of this potential masterpiece, at least a remake of, in my opinion, a masterpiece, the original Gothic. It's just so special. There's something about those first two Gothic games. I only played them years later. I didn't really play them as a kid. I played them later in life when I was delving into CRPGs and what's out there, and people said the Gothic games are really good. I thought, looks interesting. What is this? Is it like the Elder Scrolls? Is it like a BioWare kind of RPG? What am I going to get here? It's almost hard to explain without you actually playing it yourself, so I don't want to. I want to do the game's justice, but what I'll say is this. It's almost like when you play a Gothic game, it's open world, but it still kind of feels like those hub-based BioWare RPGs in that you've got freedom. It's technically an open world, but you're not artificially restricted, but you're somewhat restricted into where you can go based on your level and how powerful you are and how good you are with the combat. Because enemies in the game, there's not like level zones. There's not like the level 1 area or the level 5 area or the level 10 zone somewhere. the enemy placement is very precise and specific, and in one, if you look to your left, you might see a level 1 wolf, but if you look to your right, there could be a really dangerous warg or a troll who's level 20, and he's really strong. You don't want to go near him. You're going to die if you go anywhere near him. And because the enemy placement isn't just linear and predictable, there's different enemies of different strengths in different places, quite close to each other. That requires you to think on your feet, and it also means you can't just go anywhere in the game from the very start, like you can in Elder Scrolls or Breath of the Wild or something. It's very cleverly designed, so it's still sort of a linear-ish experience, but it doesn't feel that way. You're not blocked by invisible walls and things, and you really have to play it to get it, but it's incredible. There's not many games like it, and I wish there were. It's why there are a lot of fan remakes, because it is a very special, unique series in the RPG genre. There's just not much like it, and that's not going into the tone of the game, the quests, the interesting choices and consequences that come out of those choices. It's got a very distinct sort of vibe and tone to the game as well. It's quite a dark, sort of edgy atmosphere, but in a good way. I really love it. So, again, it's why a remake. You just know in modern day, these studios, they're not going to get this remotely right. They're going to totally screw it. And we've got the proof now, because some of these screenshots that we now see, just to paint a little bit of a picture, there's not many women in the original Gothic game. And the reason why, it's set in essentially a prison colony. There's some more background to that, but we'll keep it simple. And in this prison colony, all the prisoners have a deal with those on the outside of the prison that they're going to dig this special magic ore. And the deal is they'll dig the ore and they'll give it back to the people who need it outside of the prison, but they want a few perks as well. So even though they're in prison, some of them are living quite well. There's factions, right? And those factions have leaders that are kind of like kings, and they're living it up. So they're in prison, but they've got all the gold, the food, the luxury food, all the other luxuries that they could want. They also have women. There's also women who are thrown into the prison colony, and they're there for these masters to enjoy. So in hearing that, you might have heard some potential for sexism there. That doesn't sound good. The women are being thrown in there, and they're serving these masters, essentially. That's kind of how it is. That was the environment. It's a dark atmosphere, and it is set in a prison at the end of the day. So the women who've been thrown in there are not treated so well in the original game. You don't really see anything. Nothing's graphic. They're just there, but the tone is that they're just there to serve these masters, basically. Gomez is one of them, if you can read that. He's one of the characters in Gothic 1. Now, the developers of this remake have obviously decided that these women, they're wearing what kind of looks like stripper clothes. They're very revealing, these outfits, and the women themselves look quite attractive. So they couldn't have that. So these developers of the remake, they've changed things up a little bit. Could you believe that in 2025? A video game developer who's decided, we can't have this, the women and the men need to be 100% equal, even in this prison colony, because it's 2025. Violent criminals, murderers, they wouldn't be sexist. That's outdated thinking. The murderers of 2025, they're all about equality. So they've changed things up to reflect the modern day. So in some of the screenshots that have now been released, the women are no longer in sort of sexy slave outfits. They're now instead just wearing rags for some reasons. And their faces have been changed as well. Again, you can't believe this is happening in 2025. Even a painting. There is a painting, I believe it's above Gomez, again, one of these leaders in the prison colony. And in the original painting, there is kind of like a king figure who's standing there looking powerful, and there's some submissive, almost naked girls below, kind of like worshipping him. They've removed that. They've removed that painting. It's a sexist painting. So they've instead replaced it with a generic picture of a bridge that I think is from the third game. So, atmosphere, fantastic. It's like, if you're going to remove this stuff, at least try and I guess, improve the atmosphere and do something, go down your own path. Instead, it just feels like, well, we're just going to remove that and do nothing. We're just going to take it out of there. We're not going to put any effort in whatsoever. We're just angry at the sexism about it. We don't care about this game, really. We don't care about the fans, the fact that, A, no one asked for this remake, and B, no one asked for this. Do you think there's a single Gothic fan that exists in the world who was thinking, you know what? They're remaking this. I'm a little concerned because the original's so good. You could easily screw this up. But there's one improvement you could make, which is to take out the sexism. And what I haven't really touched on is this is like 0.5% of the game. Like, this is this room where this is happening, where they've changed the female characters and they've removed the scary painting. Like, you see that for probably about 3 minutes worth of gameplay out of a 30 to 40 hour RPG. But it was just so offensive. It was just so scary that they had to take that out because, oh no. And this is just where it kind of gets weird, almost just embarrassing for the developers, because we've seen so many things get ruined over the last number of years. I don't think anyone's even getting angry about this. It's not really something like, you've ruined this game, we were expecting so much, how could you do this? I don't think we really care anymore. I think the argument, there's not really an argument anymore as to, are these developers ruining games and putting in woke nonsense and taking existing beloved IPs and destroying them? That's been going on for like 10 plus years now. Like, that's just happening. There's no disputing that. There is no argument to that. It's just happening. So it just becomes predictable. I mean, I think for most people, they're now just avoiding this slop and they're playing something else, whether it is a new release, maybe something like Expedition 33 or Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, you go to that and you're just ignoring the garbage, the Veil Guards and everything else that's coming out. And this is just more of that, where we've said it a million times, it's not because, oh my god, woman is now wearing rags instead of the stripper outfit. It's just the mindset of the developer, which is, if this is what you're focused on, while your remake also looks like shit, there's nothing I've seen that looks remotely appealing. It feels like they have anxiety about the fact that everyone hated their stupid demo from a few years ago that was not like the original game. It was for no one. No one was happy with it because it was still sort of janky, but not that kind of Euro jank that has soul to it like the original did. It just felt like they tried to make something modern, took out all the gothicness, and it was just generic crap. That's what they did. So it was for no one. It was just Gothic in name, and that's it. Nothing else. So the remake they're trying to do now, it's sort of somewhat like the original, because they're scared, they've got anxiety about angering the original fans, but they're not bringing anything new to the table that is relevant at all. The graphics don't look good. They look like a generation or two old anyway. So it's like, what's the point? If I don't care about up-to-date graphics, I'll play the original. And that's me. This brings nothing. No one cares about it. It seems to maybe be aimed at people who've never played a Gothic game, and maybe they can bring those people in or something. But it seems what they're most focused on is, we don't want to offend anyone, or that'll be their excuse. That's been the excuse for 20-something years. We don't want to offend people. Modern sensibilities. We can't have this. It's outdated having the women look like this in the game. We know what it is now. It's just simply, you don't want to offend your own employees. The people who are making this, they probably don't care about Gothic. It's a studio under Embracer, and they've been told to make this game. This isn't the original developer. They were sacked. They were all fired. They closed the studio who made the original game. They actually owned the original dev team. Some of the original people were there, not that many, but there were some. They closed that studio, outsourced the remake to other people, and they clearly don't care. It's people who are probably just working there, they're working their job, and they've been tasked to work on Gothic. And they looked through the original as they're remaking it and went, we don't like this offends us, we need to take this out. And that's who's making your game. You're expected to pay for this remake, it's meant to be better, it's meant to be more modern, not just with this crap, but the gameplay's meant to be smoother. They've taken modern game design innovations, whatever that means, and improve it. And that's what we're meant to be buying. Something better than the original. But instead, it's just taking things out. It's doing what the developers want, not what the fans want. The developers don't like the tone of the original, so they've changed it all up. They've done their own thing, but then it's still on fans to suck that up and just buy it, just consume anyway. That seems to be the mindset with a number of these projects. Deus Ex Remastered, this as well. Imagine what they've taken out of the Deus Ex remaster. We haven't even seen that yet. Too many conspiracies, get it all out. It actually gets worse as well. You get the close-ups of some of these characters. I don't even think in the original you can talk to the female characters. They're just sort of there. They're sort of like props in the game, and I don't say that for sexist reasons. They just are. They don't have a story. They're just sort of there as part of the atmosphere. They're not characters you need to talk to or do quests for, and apparently that was too sexist as well, because now they speak to you. Valaria says, absolutely, I know they'd kill us for that, but I'm willing to take that risk. Tell her I'm in. So that must be part of a new quest, I think, unless I've forgotten. I played it a couple of years ago. I don't think there were quests from these female NPCs, but new content. I'm sure that's going to be very special. And the faces, looking good stuff, really good stuff. And then if we go and have a look at what fans are actually saying about these changes and how the developers have taken their own liberties, they're putting their own stamp on this, it seems that fans don't really care for it. They're all basically saying, you know what, we were already on the fence, because most of what we've seen, what we've played from that demo again, it was all slop, it was all crap, so you're going to have to convince us. And they're not convincing anyone. People are more skeptical than ever. In fact, they're thinking, you know what, nah, I'm out. I don't care what you show us from here. I'm out. You're changing the tone of the original game for no reason. Not for fans. You're not listening to fans. This is for your own reasons. You've got internal developers who've gotten offended, and you've decided to take some liberties on your end. So you're screwing over the fans by changing the game purely for yourselves. It is selfish. You want us to buy your remake, you want us to spend money on something we've already played, can play for about $2 on GOG, just for some maybe improved graphics. I don't think so. We're not supporting this when this is what you're doing. Again, it's not something that anyone is super outraged by. It's more, if this is the mindset of the developers, we know what else to expect. We know that you're incompetent and you're not acting on the best interests of the game. There was a post here, which I think sums up what most people are feeling. It's basically my opinion about the censorship as a new player that was going to buy the game. I didn't play the original. If there's censorship, I'd rather play the OG than spend money on something censored. You're not only driving OG fans away, but also possible new fans like me. I really hope you backtrack on this so I can buy it and I can enjoy the game. And there'll be people who go, oh, but you can probably mod it and change it or something. Some fan is going to have to spend their free time on fixing it and making it like the original again. Great. Or maybe just don't buy it. Maybe we just don't buy it. Fuck it. It's a cash grab for no reason. Embracer are purely making it because they've got financial trouble. It's why something like this is still in production, but their original games have all been scrapped. It's seen as a safe bet, not too many risks, outside of the censorship, which I think is risky, because you've seen how many times it's like something very small in their minds kind of blows up, because it is sort of the canary in the coal mine that, okay, the developers clearly don't care about the game, clearly don't care about fans. I'm concerned about this release. I don't want to waste my money on it, like so many of these. So it is more of a concern than it just looks on the surface. It is riskier. They've taken a risk, and I think it's going to blow up in their faces. But this does sum it up, which is why. Why would I buy this? The original's available. It's a fantastic game. It still has a lot of fans. It's why they're remaking it. There is still a market for that sort of game. But you didn't want to make a new one that would cost too much money, too much investment, too much work, too much creativity. We don't have those developers. We've got developers who are offended by women who appear in the game for 3 minutes. We had to change everything about them, remove paintings because it's all too offensive. Like, when you've got those people, I don't think they're making any sort of new Gothic game. That's just not happening. So we had to make this. But there's nothing in it for this potential new player. He should just go and play the original. That's the advice, I think, for everyone. Don't buy this. Play the original. The original has aged well for what it is. There's some quality of life challenges with maybe the controls, getting used to them. It's all on keyboard. You don't really use the mouse. Aside from that, when you get used to it, it's a great experience. There's very little like it in 2025. Not a lot since it's been made. It's why, again, these fan remakes that have come out are great experiences, and hundreds of thousands of people have played them, because it is very unique. The Gothic RPGs are just their own thing. This was more of a polite way to share feedback. Other people are maybe less polite. Other people are voicing their understandable frustration, but you do get people like this as well who'll go, this is an absurd woke debate. How did we end up here? The original game has females. True. But there are only 8 in total. All the same model. It's an old game. Some girls wave a fan and some girls are cleaning, and they are a power symbol for the people in charge. Like I said, they're basically just there as part of the atmosphere of where you are. You've got these leaders and they get their luxuries because they've created these hierarchies, even though it's a prison, these little clans. It's just for the atmosphere. That's it. That's everything. You are not interacting with them. But there are people who demand that these blocky, unimportant, downright ugly female character models from 2001 should now be beautiful and aesthetically pleasing. Otherwise, the game is considered woke and PC and a no-go. Well, if you just think about this for 2 seconds, you acknowledge yourself that the characters are unimportant. They're literally NPCs, the real definition of an NPC, to the point where you can't even talk to them. They might say a line or two as you walk past, but that's literally it. That's all the purpose they serve. It's to help with the atmosphere. And yet, despite that, the developers decided to spend their time on fundamentally changing them, removing photos that some of those girls are in because they were, not even just that they were half naked, but they're not being empowered in these photos. So we need to change them. We need to change all of this up. Despite it being in the game for 2 seconds, they decided this all has to go and we've got to spend our time on it, and we even need to create maybe quests with these characters so that they have a purpose, because otherwise it could be sexist. Who cares that this is a murderous prison? We need to fix this for modern standards. So they decided they had to do that. Why didn't they just leave it alone? Why didn't they just stay faithful to the original? Why is that? So maybe it's not that people are upset because the women in the game are not aesthetically pleasing. Maybe it's the mindset of the developers and it just being extremely clear, if this is what you're focused on, if this is your idea of staying true to the original vision, that you have to change very small things up, you've got to focus in on them, hone in on them, and change them pretty drastically. That kind of suggests you don't care about the original game. You don't care about the fans of the original game who didn't ask for this. They've asked for other things which you can't really seem to deliver on, based on not just the demo, but things we've seen after that, where they just keep tinkering around the edges, thinking that removing aspects that made Gothic unique is improving the game, when it isn't. It's that the developers don't understand Gothic. And that really is the problem. They don't understand Gothic. That's why they did things like this, because they don't get it. And when you get these people who claim to be defending the devs, they're defending the game, they're just sick of the nonsense. Stop talking about all this woke stuff. They say that, but they're always programmed, if there's any sort of controversy related to censorship or anything else, they'll just come out immediately. And I think this comment sums it up quite well, which is, it's always absurd and meaningless stuff when it's in your favor. When it's in your favor. When it's the other way, when it's like body type A and B got removed and they replaced it with male and female, then that same person is, oh my goodness, I'm not supporting this. This is bigotry. This is Nazism. This is literally fascism in video game form. They'll come at you with that. So this standard of, oh, this is just a small meaningless thing. Common sense, guys. Stop with this. It always seems to be when it is going in their direction. That always seems to be the way this goes. But it's not looking so good. It was never looking good, really. It was always looking pretty hopeless. But you see this stuff, it doesn't give a lot of hope. So for me, I've loved the Gothic series. I don't see how supporting this remake helps the Gothic series in any way. Like, these people are never going to make a new game, so there's no reward for this light at the end of the tunnel. For me, I think I'm just going to see what positive-looking, great-looking mod projects are out there for maybe something new. Hopefully we get something new like that. There was Chronicles of Materna or Matania or whatever it was that came out a few years ago. That was really good. More of that, please. Just forget about this. This is a joke. It's just more embrace a slop. But we'll leave it there. Thanks for listening. See you on the next one. Cheers.